This video has 50 great MetaQuest free games in it, 25 free games that do not cost a single penny, and 25 paid games which, if you go to this link, you can get a massive 20% off any game in the Quest library until the 31st of December. This video is sponsored by VR Wave. VR Wave make incredible prescription lenses for VR headsets, along with selling fantastic accessories like face covers, halo straps, and many others. As of right now, you can order your special MetaQuest 3S prescription lenses with a special magnetic design that can be used to correct nearsightedness and astigmatism, or you can get them to filter out blue light to reduce eye strain. The best part about it is that they offer worldwide shipping, so no matter where you are, you can take advantage of their amazing products. Head over to www.vrwave.store or head down in the description where I'll put a link. Now let's start off with our first great paid game. It's Assassin's Creed Nexus. Assassin's Creed Nexus brings the franchise into VR with the parkour, stealth, and combat you'd expect from the franchise, but with a first-person perspective that makes everything feel 10 times more immersive with multiple characters from the franchise. Now let's move on to our first free game, which is the incredibly popular Gorilla Tag. That is a monkey-orientated VR game with unique arm swing and locomotion, and of course, pleasant young children. Next up then is Drunkn Bar Fight. Now this one is just ridiculous fun. You get into bar fights using anything you can find. Bottles, chairs, literally anything. It's chaotic, hilarious, and everything in between, and is great for a quick VR session with friends when you want to let off a little bit of steam. So next up is No Clip VR. Now No Clip VR is a backrooms orientated game where you and your friends must complete the levels of the backrooms by swinging your arms. Next then is Arizona Sunshine 2. Yes, it's the sequel to the original Arizona Sunshine, and it amps up everything with a deeper storyline, new mechanics, and even a dog companion. If you enjoyed the first game, you'll love the new features and the chance to dive back into this zombie-filled world. So next up is Rec Room. Now very similar to Roblox, this is a hugely popular VR platform that offers a range of multiplayer games and social activities. Next up then is Battle Talent. Now if you're into gladiator-style combat, Battle Talent is perfect. You'll fight waves of enemies in an arena using swords, axes, and even magical abilities. It is fast-paced, fun, and gives you a chance to try out different combat styles. So next up we have Roblox VR. This VR application allows you to enjoy everything Roblox has to offer just in virtual reality. So next up then is Among Us VR. Now if you've never played the hit social deduction game before, Among Us VR takes the concept and puts you inside the action in virtual reality. It's all about working with others to complete tasks while trying to find out who the imposter is. I don't need to say much about it, everybody knows this game. So next up we have VR Chat, and VR Chat is a virtual reality platform that serves as a social hub. Difference here is the ability to change your avatar to almost any character that exists within VR Chat. So next up then is Greenhill VR. Now Greenhill VR is a survival game set in the unforgiving Amazon jungle. You'll have to deal with hunger, thirst, and the harsh elements while fighting off predators, not P. Diddy. It's a tough game and is very realistic, and it really tests your survival skills with a solid storyline to go with it. So next up we got Ultimax. Now Ultimax is a futuristic sports game where players control giant robots, also known as mechs. Next then, and another zombie survival game, but one slightly different, is The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners. Now this game drops you in the middle of a zombie apocalypse, and you'll have to fight, scavenge, and make tough decisions to survive, just like The Walking Dead. So next up is Meta Horizon Worlds. Now Meta Horizon Worlds is Meta's version of a metaverse, and it wouldn't be complete without mentioning The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners Chapter 2, which if you already liked and played the first one, this game expands on everything. There's more places to explore, more mechanics to play with, and an even more dangerous world to survive in. It is one of my all-time favorite games on the Quest, so make sure to pick it up if you're into that kind of game. So next up is Penguin Paradise. Now Penguin Paradise is a Gorilla Tag inspired free game where you can race sleds down icy slopes. So next up then we got Arizona Sunshine 1, the remastered version. Now Arizona Sunshine is all about surviving a zombie apocalypse. The remastered version takes the already solid game and makes it look even better while keeping the core gameplay intact. You must fight, scavenge, and try to make it out of the world alive in a world filled with zombies. So next up is Population 1. Now Population 1 is a free battle royale game similar in nature to games like PUBG, or more closely Fortnite. So next up then is NFL Pro Era. Now this really isn't a game for me, but this could be a game for somebody who loves the NFL and wants to know what it's like to be a quarterback. This game lets you live that dream. It's pretty solid from what I can tell and from what I've heard, so it could be worth picking up if you're a fan of the NFL, like I know many of my American fans are. So next up is Epic Rollercoaster, or should I say motion sickness simulator. I mean, that's kind of what it does seem like at this point. So next up then is Blade and Sorcery Nomad. Now this is a game if you're into satisfying melee combat, whether you're swinging swords or casting spells. Blade and Sorcery Nomad is all about those physics-driven, brutal actions where every battle feels unique because of the way the game lets you interact with the world. It's got procedural generated dungeons, it's got story now and lore to keep you occupied, and also, just like Bone Lab, it's got mods. So next up is Dreamcast Basketball. Now this stands out as a premier VR sports game where it offers NBA licensed team courts for full competitive full court games. Next up then is Thrill of the Fight 2. Now the original Thrill of the Fight was one of the OG boxing games, but this sequel takes it to the next level by adding multiplayer. It's still early days into its release, still in early access, but it's still definitely worth picking up for fitness, for fun, or if you're just looking to play games with your friends. Coming up next is Big Ballers VR. Now Big Ballers VR is a free basketball and sports game boasting realistic physics and up to 10 player multiplayer action. So next up then is Bone Lab. Now everybody has heard of Bone Lab. It is probably one of the best games on the Quest and has been for quite a long time. If you love messing around in VR, Bone Lab is perfect for you. It's a physics driven sandbox where you can experiment with weapons, fight enemies and explore different environments, and you have total freedom to interact with the world however you like. And it also comes with the ability to install mods, so anything is possible in Bone Lab, so it is worth picking up. So next up is Gun Raiders. Now in Gun Raiders, players engage in fast-paced team-based combat using futuristic weapons in an immersive VR environment. So next up then is Tactical Assault VR. Now Tactical Assault VR is all about real military tactics. You'll need to plan with your team, strategize your moves and execute them perfectly if you want to succeed. It's not just about shooting, it's about thinking ahead. So it's very similar to that of like Breachers. It's a little more militaristic than Breachers, but still a great tactical game if you love shooters. So next up is Bait. Now Bait is probably the best VR fishing game there is, which is even better considering it is free. So next up then is Batman Arkham Shadow. You would have had this game for free if you bought a Quest 3 or Quest 3S recently, but it is an amazing sequel to Batman Arkham Origins. Literally guys, everything about this game is incredible, from the combat to the story to everything else, including Easter eggs and everything in between. It's definitely one worth picking up and I would highly recommend it if you haven't got it already. So next up you got Hyperdash. Hyperdash is a free-to-play VR shooter that offers high-speed team-based action. So next up then is Breachers. Think of Breachers as Rainbow Six Siege in VR. It's all about strategy and teamwork, and you need to think ahead and coordinate with your team to outsmart them in close quarters combat. It's great if you like shooters that require more than just fast reflexes, so this is definitely one to add to the list. So next up is Monkey Do VR. Now Monkey Do VR is probably one of the best Gorilla Tag inspired VR games there is, where you must swing across valleys, grab bananas and chuck doo-doo onto other players. So next then is Ghost of Tabor. This is a survival game set in a military inspired world where you scavenge for supplies, build alliances and battle enemies. The danger feels very imminent and every decision feels like it could be your last and lead to you being taken down by your enemy, which makes the experience that much more immersive. Coming up next is Vegas Infinite. Now Vegas Infinite, formerly known as PokerStars VR, is a VR poker game that offers immersive gameplay with options for Texas Hold'em, Omaha poker games, including tournaments and cash games. So next up is one for Star Wars and music fans with Beat Saber. Now everybody knows Beat Saber. It's been a game for a very long time, but basically you have two lightsabers and you must slash blocks to the music. There's loads of music packs and loads of options, and there's also multiplayer with different game modes as well. Coming up next is Gods of Gravity. Gods of Gravity is a free social arcade style real-time strategy game where you must compete in an epic showdown of the celestial gods. So next then is Metro Awakening. Now this is set in the harsh world of the Metro series, as this game immerses you in a post-apocalyptic underground world. The graphics are incredible, the gameplay is incredible. This game truly feels like a next-gen title and will be a great game to add to any library in future. So next up is FitXR. FitXR is a VR fitness game that offers diverse workout classes like boxing and dance in immersive immersive virtual environments. So next up is a free game called Population 1. Now this is a battle royale game that is very similar to that of Fortnite. It lets you climb walls, build structures, and even fly, and it's got a unique take on the genres that make it feel like you're literally in the middle of the action, especially when you work with teammates to survive. So next up is Elixir. Now this is a sorcerer based hand tracking magic game where you feed, wash, and document mysterious creatures. Next up is Attack on Titan VR Unbreakable. Now this is one for fans of the anime. This game lets you swing around using the ODM gear to fight off the Titans. The thrill of zipping around through the air and taking down huge monsters makes it feel like you're actually in the show. It's fast paced and action packed, and it's a great pick for any Attack on Titan fan. So next up is Remake. Remake is a free VR chat style game designed for players to come together and have fun while offering a variety of interactive experiences. Next up then is I Am Cat. Now this one's just pure fun, or pure fun. I know, terrible, right? You play as a cat roaming a house, knocking things over and getting into trouble. It's light-hearted and goofy, which is perfect for when you want to just relax and enjoy some chaos without any pressure. Up next is Mission ISS. Now Mission ISS on the Quest 2 is an immersive experience that lets users explore the International Space Station. Next up then is Skydance's Behemoth. Now picture yourself fighting giant monsters in a beautiful fantasy world. Behemoth does this as it throws you into huge battles where you need to outsmart massive creatures that tower over you. It's all about strategy and using interesting weapons to survive these epic encounters. So next up is Shootout. Now Shootout VR is a free shooting game set in various environments. Next then is Resident Evil 4 VR. Now if you've ever wanted to live out the horror of Resident Evil 4, this VR version lets you do it in a much more intense way. You'll face off against all kinds of creepy monsters while trying to save the president's daughter in a town filled with danger. This game has been remade to hell and back, but the VR port is an excellent addition no matter which way you spin it. So next up is Blast On, and this is a free competitive VR dueling game where players engage in one-on-one duels. So next up is Demio. Now think of Demio like Dungeons and Dragons but in VR. You and your friends team up, each playing a different character, and dive into dungeons to battle monsters, solve puzzles, and collect loot. It's a great choice for anyone who loves tabletop RPGs but wants a more immersive experience.